Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy football Sunday, first off.
Beautiful Sunday it
It's a
is.
beautiful Sunday. It is a great day to, you know, watch some football, but also have a cold one while you're at
Oh
it.
yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
it's your favorite hosts, Joxy and Degs, and we're back at it with another episode. Before we dive in, let's go ahead and start off as we usually do, my friend.
Absolutely.
Cheers,
Cheers,
buddy.
buddy.
Per usual, shout out Surfside.
Surfside.
So yeah, things are going to be looking a little bit different, guys. We've taken a few weeks off, as you can see. We've kind of just been figuring things out with obviously now with Degs living in Pennsylvania, which is obviously a great thing because my man got his own house. So ladies, if you're around, my man is available. But yeah, so we're gonna have different topics every single week, based off of just things that are happening in the
Logistics and
NFL.
sketch. Yeah,
Yeah,
and exactly that,
yeah.
right?
There's going to probably be, some times where we will dive into some more games and whatnot, but, me and Degs, we kind of just talked about the past few weeks of just like figuring out different things that we can do with this podcast. We've hit a whole year, so trying to switch things up and see what other ways that we can go ahead and make this podcast a little bit more interesting, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a nice little agenda for you guys today. I know Degs. Yeah, do you want to give everybody an update on season records right now?
Yeah. So although we did not end up recording the podcast week 5, we still made some picks. We kept
Correct.
track of them. So week 5 was the first week that I was able to edge you out there. 8-4 for me, 7-5 for you. So solid look for both of us there. You are up on the season, 33-25 to my 28-30.
Yep.
So yeah, at least I made up a game there, but a big rebound for me after that horrific week 3. So that's exciting. Today we did not make picks.
Yep. But I know that we're gonna plan on probably doing that after, so we'll still.
Exactly. We'll have the record
Yep.
accordingly, but we're not going through the games today. So
Right.
on the agenda, we will talk about the Thursday night game.
Mm-hmm.
What happened there?
Yep.
It was a rookie showdown between Rattler and Knicks. We're going to talk about our teams, right? Our thoughts so
Yes,
far.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
We're going to talk about sticking with rookies. We're going to talk about the rookies, how we're looking so far, and then the usual. We have our bets and some fantasy news for you. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it. So diving right in, going over Thursday night's recap of Broncos and Saints. Broncos blew them out essentially, 33-10. Yeah, 33-10. Bo Nix, I will say that in the first quarter when I was watching, I was like, guy's a runner. No wonder his line for rushing was like 35, and I think he had like 24 yards on his first rush. I was
Yeah,
like, damn.
yeah.
I'm like, this kid's a runner now.
Sean Payton has a type, doesn't he?
He for sure does.
He's like, it's like a girl. Guys have a type when you're looking for the girls and whatnot.
It was a good welcome, welcome home, for him to get back to New Orleans. I know that he mentioned that he still has a house down there, so
he's very much still plugged in with that community.
But he wanted to get that dub.
Oh my God, that meant a lot to him, I think. And,
yeah.
Now he we've been hard on him, but well coached game.
For sure.
Well coached game for him.
One of the points that I wanted to make is that the Broncos, they punted in the first quarter, but then they didn't punt again until the fourth quarter. So in the second, third, they were either it was a field goal. Even in the first, they did have a field goal in the first quarter, but throughout the game, essentially in the second and third quarter, it was just either a field goal or a touchdown constantly. So, shout out to Sean Payne, even though I always talk crap on him and I'm not too keen on him.
But we give our flowers when flowers are due.
Of course, of
Mm-hmm.
course, of course. So he's doing well down there. Bo Nix is doing well down there. So shout out to them. I mean, Javante Williams had himself a great game.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Over
the Broncos, they look like they're going to be a scrappy team. So I'm curious how far that takes them.
overall, they're in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, their defense is superior, right? Even they didn't have Surtain that game. Now, granted, I know the Saints were dealing with a bunch of misfits, so let's at least give them, let's put that out there. I mean, obviously they had Rattler starting. Was it Bubba Means? was him and Cedric Wilson were leading the charge there. Obviously, it didn't seem like Kamara could get too much going in that game because of it. But no, I mean the Broncos are looking better and better. Like you said, scrappy, right? They're not going to let anyone just kind of like get an easy dub on them, and they're
Mm-hmm.
very much alive in that AFC currently. Um, the one thing I want to highlight is Troy Franklin, the receiver, last week and now this week again. His snaps are through the roof now. He's very much integrated in that offense. So he's a name to keep an eye on for the free agency and
In
whatnot if he's out
fantasy,
there.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. One of the funny points I wanted to make is so Cortland Sutton. I have him on my fantasy team. Good God, didn't have any targets, no catches. I guess he was just like covered like crazy. Marshawn Lattimore was all over him.
I guess
But
so.
one of the points because I've been trying to like trade him after he had like a few good weeks in fantasy, and I didn't want him. I wasn't going to trade him because I knew nobody was going to take Cortland Sutton. So I was trying to trade Pittman, right?
Mm-hmm.
This whole trade it was Pittman. It was in Ronnie's league, so I was trying to get rid of Pittman, and I was giving up Jake Ferguson
Okay.
for Devontae Adams and Joku.
Okay.
They're both right now, especially with Joe Flacco. I mean, I know Anthony Richardson's coming back, but there's talks about that they're still going to be having Joe Flacco. I guess they're close by just in case
In the
of
mix,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, if
Been a better offense with them, I'll say that.
all right, that bird's kind of getting annoying. Sorry guys if you guys hear that right now in the middle of our podcast. But yeah, so the whole point of the story was I didn't want to start Cortland Sutton. Goodness gracious, these birds are going crazy. Yep, I think that's definitely getting caught
We'll
on the
see how
mics.
we'll see how
Yeah, we'll
how
see.
canceling they are.
Hopefully that cancels it out. But yeah, so the whole point was I was not trying to start Cortland Sutton. I ended up having to start Cortland Sutton, unfortunately, because the person who I tried to trade declined the trade, right? Now, mind you, I was like, whatever. Started him, had 0 points. Now, I kind of have I'm like pissed off because it was the first time I started him this season, and he does nothing. So I was talking to Ronnie this morning, and I was like, doesn't Cortland Sutton look like radio?
He does a little
So
bit.
look at Cortland right here, right? And then look at radio.
I definitely see it. The
Guys,
smile.
we're gonna have to. I'm gonna clip this, and I'm gonna.
Post it on
Yeah,
the
I'm
story.
posting this one because you guys are gonna love this one. But no, I mean, hey, listen. I know Cortland Sutton's a good receiver, but I mean, hey,
It's a
we'll see.
tough
We'll
game.
see how far that goes
You
over
know,
there
you know,
with him.
the trend I've noticed, minus I guess it was that Falcons Bucks game. Thursday night football fantasy players,
They suck.
they have been underwhelming. I guess like on the other side, like Javante Williams and stuff. Like I'm playing Justin.
Well,
And
I
he
had
went off.
Javante, so I was like,
But
I
you,
reaped the benefits of that.
but for the most part, right? It seems like it's been tough sledding. Like when you're starting a guy on Thursday,
It's hard to
on a
predict.
positional receiver or
Yeah.
receiver running back. So yeah, it could have wasn't the most glorifying Thursday night game, but
Nope.
I do like seeing rookies matchups, and I am kind of a believer in Rattler. I think he might have a spot in this league.
Yeah, he
So
can. I think he can definitely go ahead and he just has to get himself like a little bit more
just polished.
polished.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. The next segment that we have here, diving into our teams. You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. No. So my Titans, it hasn't been a great year.
Yeah.
It really hasn't. Didn't have like the biggest expectations for them, but there's definitely some games that they should have won. Their record should be a lot better than it is right now. Levis has been a disappointment. I mean, there's no one else more on the team that's let us down. I'll say Tony Pollard has looked awesome. He has his explosion back, so I've loved seeing that. Our offensive line's been a work in progress, but honestly, we've gotten better and better. Last week was the first week we didn't allow a sack, so I mean, um, foot in the right direction there. Um, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of Ridley and Hop. Like I think they're a good combo this year. Definitely a lot of the woes haven't been on them.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side of the ball, everything I've been saying remains true. The defense has been a top 10 defense. We're currently allowing the least amount of yards per game to offenses in the league. It's a simple formula. When you're out there too much, though, teams are going to score. Points are going to go on the board. And then the lack of on your side, you can't win ball games.
Right.
And that's been, I think, the story of us. With just too many turnovers. My grade for them right now is a D minus.
Mm-hmm.
There's flashes of good stuff, more so on the defensive side.
Yeah.
But I'm very intrigued today. Mason Rudolph is getting the start.
Yeah.
So I want to see if maybe the offense just flows better. He's one of those guys where it's like, yeah, he's like, the offense ain't gonna be anything crazy.
Yeah.
But is it good enough to maybe get a dub today? So I hope so. That's kind of my evaluation on the Titans. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with that's a fair evaluation. Fair evaluation. Now, with my birds, actually, hold on. Before I dive into this, if you had the chance to go ahead and give like a hype speech to the Titans to get them riled up, what would you do? Tell them right now. You got the floor is yours. Hype them up. Hype them up, Doug.
You guys are the biggest dogs in the league right now.
Hype them up, Doug.
I mean, everyone's counting you out, right? But we know, in-house, on paper, we can contend with anyone. We really can. From a talent standpoint, on both sides of the football, we are there. It's about execution. It's about consistency. And it's about keeping the ball safe. And that's something I want to see today. I think Mason Rudolph is going to do that for us. He's not going to give the ball up to the other side. So, again, it just goes down to the execution and then the playing for each other. All right, you got to play for each other right now. That's all you can do. And that's all you can do because the media is against you. The teams you're going up against you, they really think it's an easy dub. And I'm a believer in the team. I'm a believer in the coaching staff. It was hard for me to get to this point because I'm such a firm believer in Vrabel and what he was building. But no, I mean, look, I'm still sipping the Kool-Aid. And do I think we're going to make the playoffs and things like that? No, I'm not saying that. But
hey, you're hyping them up.
But we're a much more competitive team that we have showcased.
You're not going to go ahead and talk that negative stuff. You hype them up.
The playoffs are still a possibility. We need to win a divisional game, and it needs to start today. We need to win today.
You heard it here first, Tennessee. You heard it here first.
I love my boys, and I'm gonna say one last thing. Man, probably the hardest thing about this season. It's been honestly, I'm a Titans fan. It's been one of the hardest seasons for me because I really like Levis. I like him as a person. Mm-hmm. He does everything right besides on game day, right? His intensity on the practice field, off the field, his leadership. He's a great leader to the guys. He has a great relationship with everyone. In a sense, he's someone that, like, I believe can be ready for the moment. He's just being turnover Wentz is what I compare it to. He wants to do too much. And you have a team where you don't need to do that. You're not playing with the receivers from last year, right? We have a whole new crew here. Use them and use them well.
Oh, boy. We got a nice chopper coming across here. What do we got? Where's it at?
So for all my Titans fans, let's ride, baby.
It's a nice little... It looks like a Huey. All right. God bless America.
Now, from
all right,
quick from the outside point of view, thoughts?
On the Titans.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, there's really
Don't sugarcoat it.
there's not much expectations that I had for you guys, so I would say the D minus is fair, just because like only because of the fact that Will Levis isn't better than what we thought, but outside of that, I mean, I think the team is just in need of a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, that's really where you guys are at. Um, Defense, I think, just I mean, you guys have some holes, but I think overall you guys hold it you guys hold it down still. Um, so the team overall is a respectable team. It's just a matter of, like I said, getting a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
now on my birds, the Eagles, the Eagles. Now I see you have a C minus here. I'm actually giving them just a flat out like C
C plus, you mean?
or C plus. I'm sorry. I'm giving them actually a C minus.
Okay.
So the Eagles with the season right now, it's been frustrating to say the least, because we're going 5 weeks straight where they haven't like scored in the first
How?
no, in the first quarter.
Quarter?
You have one of the best running backs in the league. You have hands down one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. Um, but yet there's still some issues when it comes to either Jalen and his decision making or the play calling. And I'm getting more so pissed off with the play calling more so than Jalen's decision making. Because Jalen, even though he's been turnover prone sometimes, this season, he's been able to go ahead and like sometimes figure it out, and there's been some flashes, I should say. Um, I've honestly started to get onto that bandwagon that I'm ready for Nick Sirianni to get out of there. That's my personal opinion, but at the same time, obviously this whole thing could change if they start thriving. It's just a matter of I need him to let go and let Kellen Moore just go ahead and do all the play calling moving forward, because
Yeah.
if it comes down to him getting in the middle of that and him trying to take over playing calling sometimes, it looks flat out ridiculous out there. We need to, I think, start running the ball a lot more. They need to trust Saquon back there. Like, that's the reason why you brought him in. And this whole thing with the Browns last week, when Nick Sirianni was chirping back at the fans, I heard the whole context behind it, right? The fan came out and said all this stuff about, like, oh yeah, all he said was, I told you I would run the ball. I told you I would run the ball. Nick Sirianni had the opportunity to go ahead and give everybody context. If it wasn't that big of a deal, just give everybody context so it can not be a big a deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Decided not to. Kind of annoyed me. Next day he decides to apologize, and I'm like, are you apologizing because Jeffrey Lurie told you, or are you apologizing because you wanted to?
Mm-hmm.
Because in my opinion, it's like Jeffrey Lurie probably pulled you in and was just like, all right,
Gotta make this right.
you either apologize or you go pack up your shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's one or the other. Um, the biggest thing right now is we need structure with this team. We need some sort of structure. The continuity is obviously there with the whole team. They got the rapport, but there needs to be some structure. I'm ready to see if there's an opportunity for us to get Bill Belichick at the end of the year. Honestly, if this season just continues to go as
It's been going.
as it's been going, then I'm ready for a change again. I know it sucks because we're going through a whole nother change yet after Nick Sirianni took us to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, but it still doesn't change anything. He's immature sometimes. He doesn't go ahead and like trust his offensive coordinator, and I'm sorry, but the whole long ass answers at freaking press conferences for a question, like, dude, shut up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need all of that, all of those details. So he right now, he does annoy me. Now, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Right now, it's a C minus. More so because of the fact that the offense hasn't been as explosive as I thought they were going to be. The defense has been hit or miss here and there. Um, but I think it's more so the fact that the talent right there is a lot on the offense. We all knew that the defense was going to be some question marks, but the offense was going to be thriving.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave him a C minus right now. We will see how things go today against the Giants.
Yeah.
So
Divisional matchup.
yep. All right. Well, do you have anything that you wanted to?
I mean, everything you said is exactly how I feel. You said for the Titans, right? Quarterback is like the missing piece to them being a real competitive contender. It's leadership for you guys. It's coaching. That's I think I've told you last year. I haven't been the biggest fan of Sirianni. A lot of the reasons you said is like when everything's all good, he's on cloud nine and whatnot. But then
Yeah.
like when you go through these times like that, I just think that he doesn't handle
Gosh, he drives me crazy.
adversity
It's like
well.
a love-hate relationship with him, honestly. It's a true love-hate relationship with Nick Sirianni. And I'm sorry, that's just how it is in Philly. He signed up for it. So,
He just reminds me of like a little kid
yeah.
sometimes. And to your point, like someone, I mean, I know who he is, but someone like Belichick, I think that's the type of quarterback
Coach,
coach that you need with the talent that you have
for
on
sure.
on your roster, and you don't want to waste these years. Someone like Saquon,
Yep.
like let's not waste them.
Yep.
So no, I agree with you.
All right, so let's dive into the rookie segment that we have here. Very excited for this one.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, so diving in, um, Jaden Daniels.
yeah,
Jaden Daniels.
yeah, man.
I have to just go ahead and put this right now. He is going to be Rookie of the Year. He's going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. Can you get Offensive Rookie of the Year and Rookie of the Year?
I'm sure.
I'm sure
I
you
mean,
can,
C.J.
yeah.
Stroud was on track for something like that last year before
Okay.
he got hurt.
I think Jaden Daniels is going to lock both of those up. Um, I mean, I know that there's some other players on here that could obviously push for that Offensive Rookie of the Year, but like a Malik Neighbors, him, he's another one I know we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But
His
Jaden Daniels, man, it's honestly, I've said it every single week whenever he's playing. I'm like, gosh, I hate that I like him because
Yeah,
he's on a team that's our
that's like root for
rivals.
Stroud. So, like it's like
Yeah, it's
the divisional guy, but it's fun to watch. When it's fun to watch, it's fun to
it's
watch.
fun to watch. And last week against the Ravens, I think that was like an amazing game that he went out there and he still balled out still, against one of those Super Bowl contending teams right now.
Mm-hmm.
So and there was a lot of respect that was given to him from that Ravens defense. I think Roquan, he actually said he was just like, that boy's bad. That boy bad, because I think he actually made Roquan like shit. He shook up
Oh yeah,
Roquan at one point.
little
So
juke move, yeah.
big fan of Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to continue to thrive this season. So yeah, shout out to Jaden.
I agree with everything you said. He's a superstar in the making. He's one of the reasons why the league's in good hands for the
For
future.
sure.
And to your point with offensive rookie of the year, so I think something you got to think about too is like impact, right? How many wins they have last year? How many they already have this year, right? So he's a winner. Why LSU was so good last year with him.
They built a nice little squad around
yeah,
him too. So
yeah,
so
yep.
Caleb Williams is next here on the list. Caleb Williams hasn't been doing too bad this season. I think
He's getting better and better.
he's getting better and better every single week. You're seeing the improvements. Um, obviously he took advantage of, what was it, a few weeks ago against Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The teams with weaker secondaries,
you need to show up. You need to show
he's
out.
done well.
Yeah, and he's been doing that. Um, I still think with the Bears, it's all coaching.
Yeah,
It's
a big
all
thing.
coaching.
We don't like him.
I don't
Yeah,
really think
Trestman.
it's Caleb on this one, because I think that wide receiver core could be a really really good wide receiver core moving forward, even with Roma Dunze. If there's a reason why that Keenan Williams leaves, I'm sorry, Keenan Allen, if he leaves after this year, because I know DJ Moore's under contract. I believe Keenan Allen's only on a 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And so if Keenan Allen leaves, it's going to be Rome and DJ. And
Which they're in good
that's
hands.
going to be
Yeah,
a
that's a good combo.
crazy combo for the next couple of years. Which I'm happy for that. It's almost like the JSN thing over in Seattle. He's finally starting to get his love this year
Mm-hmm.
versus last year. So, now Caleb Williams, I think he's definitely one that I'm definitely a fan of as well.
He's done solid thus far. He's definitely behind Daniels.
Yeah.
Daniels should have been, I think. I think the Bears should have taken him.
But thank God they didn't, because I don't want them to go ahead and fuck up.
Mess up him.
Don't fuck up Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, no, I think Caleb's a little more of a work in progress. I think, to your point, until they get a true coach in there, we're probably not going to see the best of them.
For sure.
Right? Because at least, like, Daniels has, like, the
I
offensive
honestly
line
don't think Eberflus is lasting after this year.
Nah, I don't either. I think, well, they're not off to the start he needed. It's going to be how they finish the year.
Could this happen with the signs that I can see? Oh my gosh, Eberflus is out. Nick Sirianni gets fired, goes to Chicago. Bill Belichick comes to Philly.
Sirianni, if he went to Chicago, geez, that'd be interesting. But yeah,
I could see it because I could still see Nick Sirianni getting hired, of course, from somebody.
I mean, he'll at least get a coordinator job if he got fired. Yeah. But yeah, Caleb, he hasn't done bad. He's definitely been the second best rookie quarterback this
for sure.
year. Mm-hmm.
For sure. Bo Nix, talked about him a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
He hasn't been like the.
He's a steady progression, but I still don't love what I see from a franchise quarterback standpoint. I just think it's Taysom Hill all over again.
I mean, he had 75 yards rushing on 10 carries. Well, not 10 carries, but 10. Yeah, he essentially just ran for 75 yards against the Saints. He threw for 164 yards. Yeah, I mean, there needs to be. I think he's going to have to get out of that college, type of.
Tuck it constantly.
Yeah. He needs to trust his receivers. I know that his receivers aren't that good. Maybe after this year, Denver goes ahead and they try to lure some receivers over there. I'm not sure how they can do that, but Bo Nix, I would say underwhelming, but he's been able to keep them afloat this year.
Do enough.
So
do enough.
Yeah, I think it's also their defense.
I was to say, yes, they have definitely held them in games, and exactly what we're saying. They've been able to score just enough points in games, and so it's been that type of season so far. It's the type of thing where it's like the way you've been winning, how sustainable.
Yeah.
Right. But like good enough to continue having a shot. I think it's going to be one of those things where like we just don't see a lot of progression over the years.
Yeah. Unfortunately. But, hey, they'll end up having to probably get another quarterback in there to go ahead and light some fire up his ass. That'll end up happening. And then the person that he went against,
Spencer
Rattler.
Which I think we've kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
From an arm standpoint, he has an NFL arm. He definitely makes some nice throws, some tight windows.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he did better. I mean, he only had 10 incompletions where... Actually, they both had 10 incompletions. Bo Nix was 16 for 26. Spencer was 25 for 35. Threw for 172 yards, rushed for 34 yards. So, yeah, I mean, and once again, I mean, that's a team that's kind of like on the decline with like some of their receivers and...
Well, they just lost Shaheed for the year.
Yeah.
Olave was out last game. Like we were saying, they had misfits last game. And the other thing, too, is I think they had like 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen out. So things like that definitely aren't going to help.
I know that there's rumors that Alvin wants out, but he cleared it up and he said that he doesn't want out.
Okay.
So.
I did see that.
Yeah, he said he was just like, there's no way that he wants out. That he never said that. Like, so he put all those rumors down. So we'll see how long that lasts down there. This next man, Bucky Irvin.
Bucky Irvin, man,
kind of pisses me off. Only because of the fact that I have Rashad White, and
he has not looked good.
Rashad has not been doing well. So there was in one of my other leagues that I saw Bucky Irvin was on the waiver wire. So I was just like, oh, I'm snagging him. Somebody I guess just got rid of him just just out
Who
of
knows?
nowhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
for no reason. So Bucky Irving's doing well though. I think they are. I mean, running backs though they're
Well, it's funny
what's it, dime
because
a dozen?
him and then that's Sean Tucker last week.
Yeah.
He went off, so it's like it's crazy.
That
Yeah.
team and Buccaneers they have a pretty good like offensive line. Like overall, I think that team
A
is
lot
pretty
of
pretty
talent. I mean,
yeah
even
pretty
their third, fourth receivers, like
yeah
they're not bad.
yeah. So Bucky Irving, I think is in my opinion, he is probably the best rookie running back right now.
I think so far
Yeah,
the next guy on the list, just because the last two games is giving him a run for his money.
he
But
for sure is Tyrone Tracy.
Tyrone Tracy, man, he looks
I will
phenomenal.
tell you this much: like the Giants are becoming that team that if Daniel Jones if he's a little bit more consistent with his decisions and whatnot, they could really start
They
making
have a little
waves.
something. Hmm.
Malik Neighbors, which we'll talk about him later on. I know I mentioned his name, but they also have Wandale Robinson.
Yeah,
Wandale has been
phenomenal. He's one
phenomenal this
great
whole
slot
entire
receiver.
yeah.
Yeah.
They still have Darius Slayton, so Darius Slayton's still doing his thing over there.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean I've told Nasser this plenty of times. I'm like, if they just had a consistent quarterback, I guarantee it that wide receiver core would probably up in the talks of
Thrive.
one of the best wide
Yeah.
receiver cores in the league because
Yeah.
they're young, they're and I'm sorry, like Malik is hands down in my opinion, he's one of if not the best rookie receiver, he's one of the best. He's not one,
Oh.
he's two for sure.
He. We're gonna
Yeah, we're gonna
get
get
to
to
him.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna
I
get to
keep
him.
mentioning his name. I know.
He's too good not to. But yeah,
Braylon Allen.
I've liked what I've seen out of him. He's an injury away from, meaning Hall, from I think really showcasing a nice running back there. He's a different running back. He's a
Yeah.
big boy, but the opportunities he's had, I've liked. There hasn't been a lot of really rookie running backs doing much this year. Some of the guys we thought
For sure.
would haven't. Granted, Jonathan Brooks is going to be coming back soon. Curious to see what he does.
Yeah.
But these were the three that I thought just have shown enough so far this year that you're like, they might be something.
Yeah, and Braylon, I think it was like a few weeks ago on a Monday night that he kind of like showed out, and that's when I started like seeing him, and I was like, oh shit, okay.
He's just a hard nosed north south runner,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, he's a nice one. I like.
mhm.
I am a fan. I am a fan of Braylon Allen.
He gives me like Jamal Williams vibes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
Man of the hour,
Malik
Malik Neighbors. My favorite.
God, he's fucking awesome.
He is my favorite freaking.
He's
receiver.
He's the best rookie receiver.
Best rookie receiver, hands down.
He
in,
hands
in
down
the
is.
whole entire NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It was the game that he actually had that concussion, where I think he had a concussion a few plays earlier because he looked like he was like a little like woozy, but he still was out there, and I think he caught like an extra 5 passes, and he was like he had over 100 yards I think that game too. The dude is just so freaking good. Like I tell you this much, I'm sorry, my Eagles fans, but I mean it's gonna be a really really tough game on keeping him locked down because I think
he's gonna go off.
I think he's gonna have himself a game. His first game back, and it's a rivalry game. I do think he's gonna go off.
If I'm the Eagles today, it's one of those things where it's like we know he's gonna eat fine. We just have to cancel out all the other.
We have to cancel out the other guys.
Yeah, we pretty much Now he did. Yeah, we don't gotta say much more. I mean, honestly,
Nasser's gonna love this part of the whole entire thing. He's gonna be like, "Yo."
he's already a top 10 receiver
Yeah.
in the league. It's like to me, it's so funny. Like it's literally like LSU, like they let Jamar Chase go and then like just like we're gonna make another one and God, this is a factory. Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals obviously we're gonna get to him next. Marvin Harrison Jr. He's doing really well too, but you have to wonder if they're just like like man, he just has such. The other thing about him is he has the type of skill set that's just gonna is gonna keep translating for years to come, right? Yeah. Harrison, the thing that worries about me is like his speed, right? Like, is he gonna tail out like some of those receivers later, like Dez Bryant, people like that would like. So we'll.
So
see.
let's get on him. Let's get on Marvin Harrison Jr. So I would actually say this, and this is gonna be a big statement, but I think if Marvin Harrison Jr. was in New York, he would be in Malik Neighbors' spot.
You think he's doing the same thing?
I would think he's doing the same thing.
Okay,
I
that's
do think that. I don't know. Me personally, I'm not a huge Kyler fan. I know that he's a lot of people would pick
mm-hmm.
him over Daniel Jones,
I will.
but I don't know. Like I've seen Marvin Harrison Jr. I know him and Malik are kind of like two separate. They're two different type of players
They
in a
are.
way.
They are.
So who knows? But Marvin Harrison Jr.
He's looked great in his own right. I'm not saying he hasn't.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's really really good. The whole I think the off season, the diva attitude was kind of like pissing me off with him. I'll take another one. So I'm just hoping that he gets out of that diva mindset and gets
Plays
into
ball. Yeah, yeah.
playing ball. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. I've liked what I've seen out of him so far. I think it, like, again, what you said, like, it's been a little bit different with him and Neighbors. Neighbors is more of the technician, and just gets open at will. Where Harrison, he can make those contested catches. He obviously he's had some huge deep balls and big playability. So, I don't think necessarily it's like, oh, like one's gonna be necessarily better than the other, but right now, early on, I definitely rather have Neighbors than
Yep,
Harrison.
1,000%. Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. We talked about him a little bit earlier this day. Had himself a nice little game today. With in London, there was a 60-yard pass that he caught, which was freaking
Beautiful, because
amazing.
he was glued. Gonzalez is glued to him.
Well, I also think like Lawrence kind of underthrew him, and he probably like had to.
He would have had more
down.
steps if
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brian Thomas Jr. is a steal right now in fantasy. If you got him in fantasy, I mean that was a steal. He's gonna be a good one down in Jacksonville. It's just as long as they don't f it up, they're another one. I don't really trust them as much.
I'm gonna make a bold statement and say I think he could be the second best receiver in this class when we're all said and done.
Ooh.
I love his.
We're
I
gonna
love
have
his
to clip
game.
that one for sure.
Yeah, I love his game, man. I think he just has. He's a little more polished game, at least right now, than Harrison,
for sure.
Which is what I like. No. I mean, obviously, I have him in a league. He's been a joy to watch. I think he's been great for Lawrence because they didn't have a true one. I like Kirk, but I don't think Kirk's a true one. So I think whether he's there yet, he's eventually going to bring that to the table for them.
Yeah. I actually just noticed that we got the rest of these are like the receivers essentially. Next one we have here is Rome Odunze.
Mm-hmm.
Rome Odunze said some flashes. I would think we've talked about it a little bit earlier too with him. I think he's going to be like that JSN where he's going to reap the benefits and next year, get his feet wet now. He's still running some routes out there. I mean, he's out there a lot.
It's just a little more of a crowded room, I think, than some of the other guys we've been naming here, right? Like he has two Pro Bowlers on his side.
And once that they get a new coach over there that can figure out how to go ahead and actually call some plays that can, draw up some good plays for the guy, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. Caleb's gonna be fine. Get Eberflus out of Chicago as soon as possible.
Like next year, if they brought in like someone like Slowick or Ben Johnson, one of these offensive minds, they to the moon.
Mm-hmm. Lad McConkey, another one that has honestly been quietly good.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
He's reaped the benefits of like some people getting injured, and he stepped up over there in what's called in LA. I got him in fantasy. He's been pretty well for me this season. He hasn't been too bad, so I mean, I'm not mad at him.
Overwhelming,
right?
But like, you see the hype.
Yeah.
You understand. He's a guy probably like next year will be a little more impactful. They need some work too because he's very good, but I think he's someone that will be more. He will eat as a complimentary person, right?
Okay.
They don't have a true outside receiver right now because Johnston clearly isn't it.
Yeah.
Josh Palmer. So I think like just for purposes, right? So let's say he had like Marvin Harrison like on the outside with him working the slot.
It would have been smart.
He could be like a Welker.
It would have been smart for them to keep Keenan Allen.
Right.
That would have been honestly perfect, but hey.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy, we have here. Another one that's been,
Shown
he's
flashes
shown some
up and
flashes. Yeah,
down.
first game he
Showed out.
showed out like crazy. I thought that he was going to be like another Rasheed Rice over there.
Yeah.
But he definitely has some
He's
work to his game
raw.
that he
He's
needs to
raw.
start working on. Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I mean, you can't really go ahead and I don't think anybody can say that they don't trust him because you have Pat Mahomes that's throwing the ball to him, so he
Yeah,
should be
no.
able to do well.
I think he's gonna be a second half guy.
Yeah.
Like especially just the way the receiver outlook is now. Rice is going for
Yep.
the year. Now they brought in Juju, kind of as like the number two. Brown's out for the year too, so they're gonna more and more. I think Worthy's gonna be, they're gonna find ways to give him the ball, and he's gonna be very important for their success.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one that we have here is Brock Bowers, best tight end.
Dude, he's been awesome. He's having the best year so far as a tight end. I mean, especially I'm gonna get to it when I have my time here. But with Devontae being out, with him gone, man, if you have him on your roster, giddy the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I gotta say. He's been a joy to watch. Once they get a true quarterback down there, he's gonna be a quarterback's best friend. He's been all the hype coming out. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought he was gonna be good, but I was a little more of a non-believer this year. I thought he was gonna have a little bit tougher go, but he's everything we thought he was.
Yeah. Definitely a fan of Brock Bowers. I think, like I said, I think he's the best rookie tight end. In a few years, we'll be, talking big things about him. I mean, of course, that's a team that, once again, needs a
Quarterback.
quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll
In
see
due
what
time.
happens
Mm-hmm.
with the Raiders. With the Raiders. Which also, hey, what's his name is now a part-time owner, or not part-time owner. He's a he has like I don't know. I don't know how
Shares.
much like ownership he has with the
Yeah.
Raiders, but Tom Brady.
We should probably see a turn in the tide a little bit there.
You should probably definitely should start seeing something changing over there that's improving in a good way. So, all right. All right, let's go ahead and let's dive into my lovely betting segment. If you've been following along this season, unfortunately, we have not hit. But I will say this. Hashtag I am not responsible. So, if you bet, hey, and you bet anything that I put, anything that I bet, that is on you. That is not on me.
And I agree completely, because I'll say this is as if, like, if you're every week tailing to a T, well, first, no offense, I feel sorry for you, but but two, the purpose is to choose maybe a one or two that you like the best,
For sure.
and then create your own.
Create your own.
You
Now, I know that right now we're in, it's about 1 o'clock, so
Mhm.
the picks that I'm going to actually give you are going to be for the 4 o'clock games if you do listen to this episode before the 4 o'clock games today. So we're going to start off with Washington against Carolina. So I am liking, we're actually going to go to the same game parlay, and I like Jaden Daniels with 175 yards passing. The reason why I'm going that low is because I think they're going to go heavy with the rushing since they have B-Rob back.
Mhm.
So I am actually going to say, and for right now, for some reason I don't know why, but DraftKings doesn't have B-Rob on
The
the
props.
props. But I will definitely take Jaden Daniels' rushing for 25 yards as well.
Okay.
So I would say do the Jaden Daniels rushing of 25 yards plus, and then Jaden Daniels 175 yards passing. If you want to go ahead and be a little more daring, you can say 40 yards plus, because I think he will hit that 40 yards of rushing. So let's actually do that. I think he'll have 40 yards rushing, Jaden Daniels, with also 175 yards passing. And then let's see if our boy Scary Terry's here. We're going to take Scary Terry with 40 yards receiving. And Washington actually does not have that great of a receiving core, or what's it called, secondary. So I am going to take Deontay Johnson 60 yards receiving.
He's playing, right?
He is playing.
That's a great call.
He is
Everything you're saying is a great call.
he is playing. So that is right now 4 picks for Washington. And then let's go ahead and let's do the Chiefs and Niners. So for the
Ooh.
Chiefs and Niners, I know this is going to be a really really tough game. I am going to go with Jordan Mason on rushing. So I'm going to go Jordan Mason rushing with 40 yards rushing.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk. I think today is going to have to be a Brandon Ayuk game. Brandon Ayuk, Debo has been, questionable, every single week. I think today needs to be that game that he's in here, shows out. I'm going to take Brandon Ayuk with 50 yards receiving.
Okay.
So, you
Yeah.
go ahead and you take Jordan Mason 40 yards, and then Brandon Ayuk. So all of that put together, that's your six card or your six leg bet, plus 430. So, you know you can throw $100 on and win 530, or you can, if you want to be like me and I throw on $10 on, you win $53.07.
I think I saw a stat with Jordan Mason that he's hit 60 plus yards in the last 5 games, maybe.
I can see it.
I think I saw that. So, I like all those calls.
Yeah, and I know that, like I said, the 1 o'clock games are starting right now, but Saquon, I have that bet in for him with 2 tutties today and 80 yards rushing.
Oh yeah, he's gonna go off.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and let's end it off with our man with the fantasy nuggets.
Let's do it.
Eggsy boy.
So it's so funny how fantasy works. Earlier in the year, we were just like talking about how much of a great role Zach Moss has, and now it's the Chase Brown show. He had 62% of snaps, 41% routes run. He started. He had the goal line work, and he was in closing the game. It looks like he has surpassed and has the lead role there. So
I asked Ronnie in his league, I was like, what do you want for Chase Brown? He said your soul. He said your soul and a Glock 3000.
dude, he looks phenomenal. He's exactly kind of I like Moss, but he's kind of like what they need back there, little juice,
Yeah.
to help set up the play action and whatnot. So that's something to note. Number two, we talked about this. Brock Bowers, the last 2 games without Devontae Adams, he's had 22 targets.
Okay.
Uh, even with
Damn.
with the
Holy
quarterback
shit.
situation, he is an absolute smash the rest of the year. He's gonna have blow up games at the very least. You're looking at like 6, 8 targets a game,
Yeah.
which is great. So I don't think anyone's giving him up at this point, but he is definitely like if you have just a ton of bench talent, you need to try to upgrade your tight end position. He would be my number 1 target.
Yep.
Number 3, I got Tyrone Tracy.
Okay.
23 touches last week
Mhm.
without Singletary. Dayball came out this year and this week and said Tracy's earned more time even when Singletary's back. I think we're looking at a 50-50 split going forward, justifiably so.
Yep.
And he's actually, because he's a rookie, this and that, he has the opportunity to take over the backfield. I mean, we could see Singletary less and less.
Yeah. I can definitely see that for sure.
4, I got your boy Jalen Hurts. So we design run attempts by week. Week 1, 29%. Week 2, 27. Week 3, 23. Week 4, 37. They had the bye, and then last week, 40%. I think they're trending towards that way more. I think they see they need to have him run a little more to open up things just for the rest of the offense. I mean, the offense hasn't been great, right?
Mhm.
So they got to try new things. So that is a big thing, I think, for fantasy numbers going forward for
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts. So the rushing is coming a little bit back into the fold. And my last nugget I have is we were talking about Washington receivers, right? The offenses look great. Besides McLaurin, who could you possibly maybe have on your bench? Right now, it's looking like Noah Brown.
Yeah.
Coming back from injury last week, 60% of routes. He had 8 targets. He's definitely emerging as the receiver, too. He showcased himself last year with the Texans. So I like him as kind of like a stash, low-budget stash.
Nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Well, we got ourselves a nice little fantasy, or not fantasy. We got a nice little NFL day.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, fantasy day as well for
Mm-hmm.
everybody. But it's a beautiful day today. We got people grilling over
Oh,
here
I see
next
that.
door. Guys, have yourself a great Sunday. Go Birds.
Go Titans.
Go Titans. And if you ain't doing anything, go ahead and stuff a cracking cold one. Cheers,
Cheers.
fam.